The story kicks off with Sara and her dad, Don, rushing Marie to the hospital because she's having trouble breathing. Things get tense real quick. Marie actually stops breathing, and Sara's freaking out, telling Don to hurry up. When they get to the hospital, Don's all strict, telling Sara to shut up and stay quiet while paramedics jump in, hooking Marie up to oxygen and trying everything to save her. But the monitor? Yeah, it's showing a flat line, and that's seriously scary. Now, hold on, because the story flashes back 20 years. We see what looks like a perfect family dinner. Sara, her sister Amy, and their parents Dawn and Irene all together. But things get dark fast. Don, Sara's dad, shows his cruel side. He forbids Sara from going to a party and basically controls everything about their lives. Sara's not having it though. She secretly runs away with her boyfriend Chris and leaves her parents behind, which obviously pisses Dawn off big time. At that party, Sara and Chris are having a blast, dancing, kissing, just enjoying themselves. Next morning, Sara heads home, but Dawn's waiting and ready to explode. They get into a huge fight, and when Sara turns 18, she decides to leave the family for good. She wants peace, a fresh start, and even tells her family she's thinking about leaving the country. But Dawn overhears and rushes down to this secret room hidden behind a bookcase in the basement. 3 months later, Sara's graduation is a turning point in her life. When Irene leaves the house, Dawn tricks Sara into helping him carry a box down to the basement. He lies, telling her it's just a bomb shelter left by the old owner. But then, bam, he locks her in and leaves her there. Sara screams and begs for help, but no one can hear her because it's soundproof. 4 days later, Sara's mom is worried sick and calls the police. When cops come, Dawn's cold as ice, explaining how Sara now has to take care of all her needs down there, even the air she breathes. And worst of all, he keeps abusing her while she's trapped. When police visit, they suspect Sara might have gone on her trip abroad like she planned, but her mom doesn't buy it. Sara would never just vanish without saying goodbye. Alone and scared, Sara thinks about the night she spent with Chris. Chris gets worried too and questions Dawn, but Dawn lies, saying Sara ran off with a neighbor named Steve after graduation. On day 21 in the basement, Sara turns 18. Dawn shows up with a cake and a fancy red dress and asks for her watch. She says she needs to do something first, but when she stands up to him, Dawn beats her hard to remind her who's boss. Almost a year passes. Sara finds out she's pregnant by Dawn, and she gives birth to a daughter, Marie, all by herself. 4 years later, Sara's pregnant again, but Dawn's living a double life, one with his wife Irene upstairs, and the other down in the basement with Sara and the kids. Irene's worried and thinks about hiring a private eye, but Dawn shoots it down. Instead, he kindly surprises Sara and Marie with a TV in the basement. Sara later gives birth to a son, Michael. Despite all the horror, Sara tells her kids bedtime stories full of princesses and knights to distract them from their grim reality. Chris shows up at Sara's place and asks about her. Finally, Amy spills the truth to Chris and realizes Don's been lying. They talk about Don's abusive history and how dangerous he really is. Sara keeps her kids' minds busy with made-up adventures so they don't get crushed by the truth. Meanwhile, Amy and Irene figure out Don's lies and confront him, sparking a huge fight. During the chaos, Don drops his keys and Amy grabs them, heading to the basement to look for clues. Don chases her down, gets his keys back, and Amy calls him out for Sara's disappearance. Sara gives birth to another son, Thomas. She stays calm and convinces Don to bring the baby upstairs since there's no space down there and she can't care for another baby. Heartbreak hits as the baby is left on the porch with a note, supposedly from Sara, asking Irene to raise him because she and Chris can't. Dawn finds the note and attacks Sara again. Years go by. The kids grow up with wild imaginations, expanding on their mom's bedtime tales. Sara's been trapped in the basement for 14 years. Marie, now a beautiful young girl, experiments with makeup one night. Sara pleads with Dawn to leave Marie alone. She's scared for her daughter and doesn't want her to suffer like she did. Marie feels lonely, saying she has no friends. Dawn plays the good dad and grandpa sometimes. Thomas finds Irene crying in her room, missing Sara and her childhood. Suddenly, raindrops start falling from the basement ceiling. Then it collapses. Sara uses the chance to break through with a spoon and signals a neighbor for help. But when Dawn finds out, he attacks Sara viciously, causing her to lose her unborn baby. She's devastated and cries. Dawn secretly buries the baby in the yard while also acting annoyed in the basement and praising Thomas's athletic skills. The kids ask Dawn about their future, and he blames Sara for their messed up lives. Sara, overwhelmed, breaks down, smashing things. Exhausted, she falls and remembers her best moments with Chris. The kids cover her with a blanket and clean up, telling her they're ready to hear the truth about life in captivity. The kids soon realize Dawn's stories about being a good dad are lies. Dawn insults Sara's looks, and tensions spike between him and Michael. The family struggles when food runs low in the basement because Dawn lost his job and is stuck at home. Then, in a shocking moment, Dawn tries to kill his family by pumping car exhaust into the basement air vent. Thomas notices and saves them all. Meanwhile, Dawn and the family throw a loud party outside, ignoring Marie's worsening health. Sara begs Dawn to take Marie to the hospital. He refuses, but after she promises to keep quiet, he finally agrees. After 20 years of this nightmare, they rush Marie to the hospital. Sara's terrified, but thankfully, the doctors save Marie's life. The doctors ask Dawn what happened, but he lies again. Sara, tired and fed up, accidentally spills water on the medical papers, distracting Dawn and making a break for it. She finds hospital security and tells them everything. Dawn gets arrested fast. Sara tells Marie it's over. They're finally free. The house fills with police, and Michael's freed too. Irene and Thomas are shocked to see Michael struggling to breathe after being trapped so long. Dawn watches everything from the back of a police car as he heads to jail. Later, on a sunny day, Marie, Thomas, and Michael play outside in the countryside while Sara, Irene, and Amy watch happily from the porch. Then, after so long apart, Chris comes back on his motorcycle. They walk together, and Chris says he regrets not trying harder to find Sara and believing Dawn's lies. As a gift, Chris gives Sara a pink motorcycle helmet he bought when she was 18, when they had big plans to ride together. And finally, after all this time, Chris and Sara start their love again. That's it for today's recap. If you enjoyed the story, give it a like, drop your thoughts in the comments, and hit subscribe to join the Vision Movie Recap family. See you in the next one.